Lengua 5.6. Preterit versus imperfect. The preterit and imperfect are the two main past tenses in Spanish. You will continue studying the differences all the way up through advanced Spanish, so we will approach this first taste with realistic expectations. We want to understand how to form each verb tense, and we should be able to identify common uses of each. We should also often be able to determine which tense is most appropriate when given a straightforward context. Sometimes it is helpful to hear information explained in a variety of ways. If you search preterit versus imperfect online, you will find an incredible number of resources. The explanation presented here is a good start and will suffice for this level. There is a lot more to learn later. In general, the imperfect describes what things were like and what used to happen, while the preterit tells what happened. Imperfect. It was Saturday. I had a cold and I wanted to play soccer. Preterit. I walked out of the house, noticed the weather, then ran back inside. Could we say then that ran requires the preterit, and that was requires imperfect? Number verbs can be used in both tenses. Imperfect. I often ran to the store after school when I was little. While I ran in the park, someone broke into my car. My computer was in there. Preterit. I ran to the store this morning. That was my first run in a week. I ran in the park 20 times last month. It was a strange month. I ran for 30 seconds, and that was enough. We can even have both in a single sentence. Mientras corría en el parque, un niño corrió enfrente de mí. Many times both verb tenses work grammatically, but their usage does affect the meaning. Here is a pair of sentences where both tenses work, though the meaning changes. Viví en México en el 2015. This is something that happened, and I am viewing my time in Mexico as a single closed event. It began and ended in 2015. Vivía en México en el 2015. This is what things were like. It was ongoing. Its beginning and end are irrelevant, though we can guess it lasted for much of, or possibly all of 2015. And here are two sets of sentences to illustrate the effect of the different verb forms on whether actions are sequential or concurrent. Llamé a mi papá por teléfono cuando choqué contra un árbol. I hit the tree first and then called my dad. Llamaba a mi papá por teléfono cuando choqué contra un árbol. I was in the process of calling my dad at the point when I hit the tree. Hacía galletas y miraba Netflix. Concurrent. I was making cookies and watching Netflix. Hice galletas y miré Netflix. Sequential and or separate. I made cookies and watched Netflix. At this stage, we will avoid sentences in which both verb tenses are equally logical, and instead work on distinguishing between the two verb tenses in more straightforward situations. Here are some tips for deciding which tense to use. 1. If there is an explicit duration or number of occurrences, it is most likely preterit. Caminé por 2 horas. Escalé ese árbol 1000 veces en mi niñez. 2. If it is in a sequence of successive actions, it is most likely preterit. Salí de la casa. Fui a la tienda y compré leche. 3. If it expresses an action that interrupted another situation, it is likely preterit. Mi mamá llamó mientras yo hacía tarea. 4. If it narrates a specific event viewed as completed, it is most likely preterit. Vi bonanza cuando visité a mi abuelo en marzo. 5. If it describes what things were like, it is most likely imperfect. Era sábado. Tenía mucho trabajo. Quería dormir. 6. If it describes a habitual action with no specific number of occurrences, it is most likely imperfect. This is like I used to verb in English. De niño, siempre veía bonanza cuando visitaba a mis abuelos. 7. If it describes a situation that was interrupted, it is most likely imperfect. This is like I was verbing in English. Mi mamá llamó mientras yo hacía tarea. Stories will almost always have a mixture of the two tenses. We use the imperfect to set the stage, describing what things were like and what was going on. We use the preterit for the action that occurs